Welcome back to Nail Babe Pod. These are a few of my favorite things. Is it Julie Andrews? Is it Oprah? It's Abe the Nail Babe with my 2023 favorite things end of year recap. Okay? Of course, this is Nail Babe Pod, a podcast where I get to talk to all the nail babes of the nail world. But today, I'm talking to myself, my first favorite thing to do. If you don't know me, I am Abe, the Nail Babe. I am a full-time nail content creator, an influencer, and podcaster. If you want my favorite nail polish, just look at my Instagram. Those are the ones I post. Those are the ones I like. Okay. Like we are normally on Nail Babe Pod, we're here for the deeper information. I have everything mentioned here today linked down below, as well as in my Instagram bio. So if you hear anything you think you like, you can click the link to see what I'm talking about. So without any further ado, oil those cuticles and lotion your hands. And get ready for my favorite cuticle oils and hand lotions. Okay, I've been loving my OPI cuticle oil. It is a squeeze bottle. My preferred cuticle oil is a squeeze bottle with a brush. I don't love a roller ball, but I'm oiling my cuticles right now. But I have been given a bunch of these Essie cuticle oils, which have a roller ball, but they are squeeze bottle. So I get to squeeze on a bunch. They smell pretty good. Apricot, which I love those. Those are my number one nail tip. You need to have cuticle oil everywhere in your life. Once I put a cuticle oil in my car, that's when everything changed. Because at red lights, put on some cuticle oil. You can't forget if they're always there. As for hand cream, I love my C&D hydrating lotion. I personally prefer a pump bottle. I think for me, the barrier to entry needs to be low enough that I will actually make these routines. I don't know why it seems so difficult to open a bottle of hand lotion and put it on, but having a pump just seems so much easier. That's just like done. It's there. I don't have to fiddle with it. Also, I feel like taking off the cover of a hand lotion sometimes feels scary when like breaking a nail. I was like, no, we're not doing that. So I got a bunch of different hand lotions from Amazon. And I also like a light hand lotion that's not heavy, that's not sticky. This one is super light. It's so smooth. I'm putting on some right now. Is this ASMR? That sounds gross. It feels so smooth and absorbs into my hand. I don't feel shiny or greasy after. If that sounds like you might like this lotion. I don't know what's considered an expensive hand lotion, but it's on sale right now for $35. For 10 fluid ounces. I originally bought this November 2022. I just went and looked and just reordered another bottle probably last month. So this bottle lasted me a year. I probably use it, if not every day, every other day for sure, between 1 and 2 pumps. If I get out of the shower and I do 2 pumps on my hands, like we're good. This is perfect. Everything seeps in. It feels good. I feel like I was looking for a good hand lotion for so long that I liked, and this now is the one I always use because it gives me exactly what I want. Speaking of not knowing if a lotion is expensive, I have this Le Labo hand lotion, again in a pump bottle. I do not remember how much it is, but Le Labo is not cheap. It smells divine. I feel like I do not need a lot to get the scent, which I like. So I will use my C&D lotion for hydration, and then I'll do a little bit of this for fragrance if I'm feeling it. I'm not a huge fragrance guy, so I don't always do it, but I like having that option. And also, Le Labo is just Le Labo. It is the Bergamonte 22. Could it have been like 50 or like 6? I feel like it. Let me look. Okay, the Le Labo website says $80. So we're just going to pretend that wasn't that much. Anyway, moving on to something I use every single manicure. It is the Butter London Cuticle Exfoliator. I have bought a couple of these since I first tried it. I guess it is pricey, but I mean, after this lotion, I'm just like, you guys know I don't. I guess I'd like to splurge. What can I say? I have nice things. I just posted, I guess yesterday, Hermes nail polish, which was $55. Anyway, although that was a gift, and I'm still gagged by that gift. Honestly, such a good friend. Thank you. But I love this cuticle exfoliator. It's cuticle remover. I put it around my skin. I feel like, I don't know why, I feel like other cuticle removers almost make my skin feel raw, but I feel like this has oils or something in it that it feels hydrated, that I don't really need to put oil. Obviously, I'll wash my hands and then I need to put back cuticle oil, but I just feel like it makes my cuticles look amazing. So I highly recommend this. Continuing on the cuticle care, I have a metal cuticle pusher from Gel Care. Again, they did send this to me, but I love it. I have a lot of cuticle pushers, but they're so sharp. The rounded edge, I don't know what people think is happening with cuticles, but they put such a sharp blade on a cuticle pusher that you end up gouging your nail plate. It's just, I don't know what they think we're doing with the cuticle. I guess if you have really stubborn cuticles and aren't using any remover or oil or anything, you'll need this like sharp ass cuticle stick, but like it's not good for natural nails. This, on the other hand, is such a nice, rounded, thin metal pusher. It's not sharp whatsoever, exactly how I like it. And it has a nice C curve, which also I have very strong C curve, so I appreciate. It is knurled, if any machinists are out there. The handle, it's all metal, but the handle has been knurled, which is grooves. So it feels really good in your hand. It feels sturdy once I applied cuticle oil. I know I'm not going to drop this because it's knurled. The word of the day is knurled. The other side is almost like a dentist pick, which I guess these are more for like removing gels, but the other side is a little tiny pick that goes down to a super small point that's actually sharp. So you can actually gently scrape tiny bits of cuticle off with the sharp end when you're actually doing detail work and not afraid of gouging your nail plate. I feel like every other cuticle pusher is the opposite. The pointy end is so dull and the rounded side is so sharp. So this is perfect. I do love this. I use it every single time. I feel like this just gives me a really nice large pushing surface. A wooden stick is just a tiny little thing at a time. I like to be able to push my entire cuticle back. With 2 pushes of this, I can push my entire cuticle back. So I'm getting even pressure on my cuticle. No one else thinks about the pressure of their cuticle this much, but I do. And that's why I have a 3-hour podcast about this. Just kidding. Hopefully it's not that long. Next step in my cuticle nail routine is filing. I mentioned it on the Michelle Mooncat episode, but I use their Mooncat nail file. It's black. I don't know. I should have asked her this, but I personally find a difference in the collab nail files. So the nail files for their Disney collab, branded Disney nail files versus their normal Mooncat file. I don't know if they've changed something or just the Disney branded ones are different. The Disney branded ones are coarser. They're stronger. They take off more material and or nail. Whereas the Mooncat one, I find, is a really nice medium grit. It doesn't take off too much, but I can dig in if I want to and take off a good amount of nail length, and it gives me a smooth surface. I don't think it's because I've just used it a lot, and obviously I need to wash it right now. If you're looking at the video, I do have a lot of nail filings, which at first I was like, this is weird. Why are you having a black nail file and like the white dust in here? It just like looks bad. But this shows me I need to wash this. I actually really like this because I end up washing, just rinse, you can rinse glass nail files under the water and it gets rid of the dust. I rinse this more often than I did with a white nail file because I never saw it. I was just like, no, this is not, I don't know what's happening here, but I'll just do that later. But this, I really remember. So I do it more often and it shouldn't really become dull because it's glass. And I do take good care of it. Lastly, on cuticles, everyone knows I love a cleanup brush. I like an angled brush like this. You've probably seen my recent video about it. Although I didn't put in the video, this is the podcast exclusive tip. I apply gaffer's tape, which this is the film industry. Insider. It is just black, matte, kind of textured tape a little bit. It just feels like it almost feels like a black canvas. And I do find, for me personally, the cleanup brush that I love, the Cirque cleanup brush, which is what I use most often. I do have a bunch of other ones on my desk that I interchange, but I do find myself going back to this. I find it is a little bit skinny in the width. Like the pencil, it feels skinnier than a pencil. So I add basically, I feel like this is basically like a grip for a tennis racket, but a grip for my cleanup brush. So it gives me a little bit more thickness. I don't slip around from the cuticle oil, which really it should be knurled, but I'll leave that to my cuticle brush that I'll release one day. Not really. And it gives me more surface tension to rotate the brush in my hand. I'm demonstrating for the class if you're watching the YouTube video, so I can get around my cuticle and bend the brush. Pro tip. Does anyone else do this? I think I invented it. I invented putting tape on something. Anyway, let's move on to what I think of as my toys. I love film equipment. Of course, you know I'm filming nail content constantly. We'll get into the stats, but I posted over 200 reels on my Instagram this year, and I have really tried to streamline my setup. Again, this low barrier to entry, I think helps me actually create. Because if I have to like set up my whole camera, set up all my lights, clean my desk, and then I get to the nails, I'm like already, that was all my energy. I don't want to do anything. But if everything's already set up, I know things are going to work. I know they're going to be sturdy. They're not going to be shaking. I have consistent lighting. All I have to do is sit down and do my nails. I don't have to worry about everything else. My first favorite thing in the filmmaking category is this little cube light. It gets super bright. Okay, that's blinding. I probably use this light in about 90% of my videos. I've pretty much switched over to using this exclusively. Love the way it looks. It's great for hollow. So you have a super bright direct light. I feel like some people have said they thought it was natural light, which I don't think it looks like natural light, probably just because I study lighting, but I do think it gives off that vibe. It's very harsh. I mean, you've seen the video that I've made. It's typically around $40 right now. It's on sale for $30. It's only probably like 1 inch by 1 inch cube. It's a tiny light, but gives off so much brightness. And if you're filming up close, you really don't need that much lighting. I feel like I just use this one light, nothing else. And there we go. Of course, I've said I use my iPhone XS Max on the 2X camera set to 4K, 30 frames, none of the 60 frames. And I put this right outside the frame. It has about a 2-hour battery, but I just leave it plugged in. It's USB-C. There are newer versions of this lamp. It is from SmallRig. Of course, everything is linked down below, as I said. There are newer versions of this lamp, but they have a proprietary plug. It's like this weird magnet MacBook type plug. I prefer the one, this is USB-C. I have so many USB-C cables, so I can leave this plugged in on my desk all the time. It never runs out because it's plugged in. And if I need to take it out, I can move it around my house, bring it to a new location if I need a little extra light. It has a 2-hour battery, so I'm good. And it has a regular tripod mount on the bottom, which moves me to my next filmmaking gear favorite thing. Again, from SmallRig, is this clamp, I guess you would call it, clamp with 360 ball joint connector. Just look at the link if you can't see this. But literally, this little thing, it's probably like, what? Is that 6 inches? In total length. But I can clip this little light anywhere. It's super high quality metal. I think the clip is probably the same price as the light, but I think it's definitely worth it. You can, of course, adjust the light any direction you want and clip these jaws. They open pretty wide. Of course, there are different sizes, but I thought this one was the perfect size for my light. Clip it and clamp it literally anywhere. I love the versatility of that little clamp. I do have 3 of them. My second one has an extended arm, so it gives me a little more control of if I want to clamp something and reach it over, do like an overhead shot or cantilever it over something. And on this one, my next favorite thing is my phone holder. I've gone through a lot of phone holders. The physical clip that holds your phone. I hate the spring-loaded phone holders, the ones where you have to like slide in your ring and it's like pull the phone out and you just have to put it in, but then close it and it like springs back. Anything like that is terrible for natural nails. I just feel like I'm going to break my nail every time I would try to put my phone into something. So I got this all metal phone holder that tightens by screw. So you can easily, gently, slowly tilt in your phone and then screw in the side and it tightens. It's super sturdy. So I have one that I leave set up with my iPhone 10 on my desk. Then I have a second one that I use on this movable clamp, so I can set up my day-to-day phone. I have 2 phones. Have I mentioned this? I have a content phone and a normal phone. So I can use this clip and literally put my phone anywhere, to anything. I can clip this little thing literally to the windowsill, to the table, to the chair, to the ceiling. Literally can connect it to anything. So love that. And of course, why I have all this filming equipment is because of all my nail videos and filming for Instagram, which really this year has become my full-time job. I've put together some numbers. I don't know what's going on with Instagram, but they're always changing the back end and the analytics. So I had to manually count every video and I put into a spreadsheet how many views each video got. So we're going to get the year-end count. So in 2023, I posted 217 reels and 15 photos. Can you tell which one I like more? So that's 232 total posts. Everything for 2023, 232. Well, I guess we still have a few more days, but as of December 27th, 232, which comes out to around 4.5 posts per week. So I guess that makes sense. I feel like lately I've been trying to do 5 posts a week. I'll take off the weekend, and compiling all the views, give or take a few million, I had 253,417,400 views. Crazy, which averages out to 1.2 million views per post, which definitely didn't get. There were a lot of 30, 40K views in there, but obviously when you have these viral moments, they average out for the rest of them. 253 million views. I feel like, is that a lot? Is that not a lot? It obviously is a lot, but then I don't understand. I can't comprehend. I don't know why I just find these statistics interesting. I don't know if other people find them interesting, but I do. So in that same vein, I started this year, January 2023, with 133,818 followers. And as this time of the recording, I have 177,450 followers. So I gained 46,000 followers this year, which averages to about 125 followers per day, which again, did not happen. I had a lot of days where I was just like 10, 0, negative. But I feel like recently I've been doing well, which I feel like was the same thing last year. In December, I was doing really well, then in engagement, in views. And then January, February was just like, and nothing. So curious to see if that happens again. All this to say, Instagram engagement comes in waves. It comes, it goes. But if you keep going, generally it keeps growing. Looking at 130 versus 170, I feel like that's a good, like obviously so grateful. Like that is a big difference. And I feel like I want to, in this episode, in this mindset, instead of trying to think like, oh, what can I do better? My New Year's resolutions? It's like, no, let me celebrate what I did this year. Like, let me actually celebrate the things I did. Like, we do a lot in a year, and I think you forget about it. And day to day, just like, oh, it just feels like nothing. Oh, it was another post. Oh, it was just another like couple followers. But then when you look at it at the end of the year, it's like, wait, I did this for a year. Like, I was consistent. I posted 4.5 times a week and gained 45,000 followers. Like, that's not nothing. That is something. I put a lot of time and energy thinking about this every day. So it's fun to look back and see what happened. Of course, not every single post is viral or memorable, even to me. I can't tell you what I posted on March 24th, but there are some that stick out in my mind, so I'd like to share them with you. Of course, my pool nails. I believe that's one of the top viewed videos of my 2023. It's over 10 million views right now. If you have not seen it, I will link it below. But for anyone who hasn't seen it, this technique came from the talented Jasmine of Base Coat Stories, where she uses a transparent blue gel and layers it to get a reflection of water on the bottom of a pool. I was obsessed. I had to recreate, and I love how it came out. It is so perfectly pool nails. It was also just one of those videos that I feel like the editing was something fun, something new. It was fast. It was definitely Nail Babe aesthetic. I cut each dotting tool separately. So it took a long time to edit, longer than a normal swatch, because I had to probably make, I don't know, 50 cuts in there. But it was so satisfying to see the pool nails come to life, and then for it to actually look really good. I feel like a lot of my videos recently are fun edits and weird and crackle nails and whatever. And then I get a lot of hate comments. They're like, this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen, which fine. But no one said pool nails were ugly. It is so pretty. Everything worked about it, which that's why I love it. And of course, that spurred a bunch of different color variations of pool nails. I did the green, I did the purple, I did the black and white, I did the brown, and those each went viral as well. So that was fun. That was fun for me. Thanks, Base Coat Stories, for that. Speaking of controversial, I feel like, I don't know how I've landed on this, but controversial nails is just, I guess, what I do now. I guess I've kind of done this in the past. I guess it's kind of like trolling. Like, I did that April Fool's video that was green screened into a bunch of different colors, but really I just painted my nail once in green, but I used After Effects to paint it different colors, linked down below, that I posted on April Fool's Day, which ended up also going viral. And a lot of these repost accounts, which I think you've heard me talk about before, but they started reposting it as if it was a real collection. So I was like, this got him. This is the ultimate revenge. Because people are like, what are these colors? Where can I get these? I'm like, oop. Sorry, I invented them. But in that same vein of tricking my followers or teasing, I feel like it's teasing. Of course, my spider web nails, which I still get comments to this day about this video. People saying, you're destroying animal homes, which if you haven't seen it somehow, I found a real spider web outside and used an airbrush, which, okay, an airbrush outside, airbrush in general is probably not great, but I airbrushed a spider web and put my nails in it. Was it cute? No, but that wasn't the point. It wasn't supposed to be cute. Did I destroy an animal home? No, because spider webs are not animal homes. It was an abandoned web. Okay, no one cares. So of course, that was a milestone video this year. And for my 2-year Instaversary, I put on 750 nail stickers onto my nail. My favorite nail stickers, by the way, of course, Deco Beauty. But I got her to send me some of her misprinted stickers. So there are a bunch of stickers that were not going to be used or sold. And I originally intended to put 1,000 stickers on, but after 750, I got tired. So I was like, wait a minute, if I just wait another week, I can post this for my 2-year Instaversary, which, if you count the number of days, 365 times 2 is 730. So I was like, okay, let me just post this for that and say, putting on as many stickers as I've been on Instagram type thing. So that was fun. More recently, I did my candy cane nail inspired by those cookie decorating videos, which I feel like I'd been wanting to do that for a while. It took me a good amount of tries to get it right, but when I did, it was so satisfying and started a little trend. I started seeing other creators doing the candy cane nails, so that was fun to see, to have that community moment and to start a little trend. I feel like I could have started an easier trend because I don't think it was easy. And even I tried to do another one with like green and red, and I did like 3 or 4 attempts, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to do this because it's hard. I feel like it's those things that are deceptively simple are the hardest because you can't hide in the complexity of the design. It's simple. That's it. If you don't do it right, it shows. I'd also like to mention one of my favorite posts, which I guess is one of my favorite polishes of this year, MOTN from Olive Ave Polish. It's a beautiful creamy cream royal blue, perfect formula, perfect wintry fall color. Literally has gone viral every platform that I've posted it on. So that's always reassuring. I already love that polish. That's why if you notice when I wear something on my full hand, I like it. If I just do one nail or just do a thing, it's just like, yeah, I was experimenting. I was just playing around. I don't know. But if I put it on my full hand, I like it. So that definitely went on the full hand and was definitely a favorite of 2023. Last post I must mention of 2023 is my 1000th post, of course, announcing Nail Babe Pod, which you are listening to right now. Did you know? Which this is the 21st episode of Nail Babe Pod, which I am loving doing, by the way. I feel like it is a lot of work, but I enjoy it and I like being able to have this platform and being able to talk to creators and share. And of course, like everything, like I was saying with the Instagram numbers, everything just grows the more you do it. Even though it feels hard in the day to day, if I'm like, I have to edit another episode, but when I put it out, I feel good. We've had over 4,000 downloads on just the podcast directories, plus around 6,000 views on the YouTube, just on the podcast alone. So I'm feeling good. I feel like that's a lot of ear, especially for over an hour long, most of the time, interviews with nail creators about what it's like in the nail industry. It's a very niche podcast, which I love being able to do that and be part of this community and talk about the things that literally I think about every single day. So thank you for listening. This is not the end, but I want to take this time to thank you and really appreciate everyone supporting me. I feel like podcast is definitely an interesting medium. I don't think I thought about it before, but every other platform is free, right? You just Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you can put up content for free, and even those platforms pay you, or like how many views you get. But for podcast, you have to pay to host a podcast. It's not free to upload a podcast. And the podcast doesn't actually live on the platform. So Nail Babe Pod doesn't actually live on Apple Podcasts or Spotify like my Instagram content. My Instagram videos live on Instagram. That is where the video is. I pay for a separate hosting site. It's called Buzzsprout. It's about $18 a month to upload the audio files and descriptions and cover photo to my I want to say Buzzsprout account. And then that gets linked to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all the other directories. I guess if you have your own website, you can host your podcast on your own website. But of course, that isn't free either. Just an interesting tidbit that I don't think people realize or think about behind the scenes of Nail Babe Pod. Speaking of podcast, my favorite podcast, other than Nail Babe, of course, has to be either Attitudes or Ask Rana. I guess I am a Brian Safi stan, who is the co-host of both of those podcasts. I've been listening to that first podcast, Attitudes, for probably 9 or 10 years. That seems crazy. They talk about political issues surrounding women, gender, LGBT, queer people, but one of their taglines was, but we treat it with much less respect than it deserves. They're both improv comedy people and take these news stories and just have fun. A lot of the time, they're very serious topics that are affecting our country and me and other groups of people, but they just find silly details in the story and just like make fun of it and have a good time and just share knowledge. So I really enjoy it and have been listening to it for a long time. These are often the podcasts that I will listen to while I paint my nails or while I'm driving because I do love watching TV and YouTube, but I don't like being distracted. I like to one screen. I don't like to double screen. If I have to double screen, I don't want to watch it. I want to be in the show. I want to be transported to a new world, which takes me to my TV recommendations. Of course, the final season of Marvelous Miss Maisel came out this year, which I feel like we all have watched this, right? Have you watched it? It is one of my favorites. I think it only got better as the time went on. Again, with this final season too, it really hit all the right notes. I feel like a lot of the shows, I watch a lot of shows. I feel like the first season is really strong. Generally, shows are really strong, but then after that, they just fall off a cliff. I feel like they don't expect they're going to get a second season because a lot of shows don't get a second season. This is not Mrs. Maisel. Mrs. Maisel continues to get better, and I feel like this last season just really was perfection and carried the show. So if you haven't seen it, I would recommend that. I feel like another similar show, which just aired its finale of the second season, is Julia on HBO. Marvelous Miss Maisel is on Amazon Prime, if anyone doesn't know. Julia, which is about Julia Child. If you're not watching this, you must watch this. It is such a good show. Of course, I've seen the Meryl Streep, Julie and Julia show, which I was like, what else do we know about her? What can we know? But there's so much more. This goes into her TV show, which of course she's famous for her TV show. So we get to see how that started, where no one believed in her. No one wanted her to make that show. She paid for everything. She had to convince them to let her film a pilot and then convince them to let her pay for the entire show because everyone's like, no one wants this. Hugely successful, as we all know, Julia Child. But it's really well done, well acted, and follows the social norms of the time, right? Women were not seen as equals, especially not women of color. But we get to see a powerful woman, and her producer is a woman of color, and just the whole thing is just really touching and amazing. And to see that and know that she obviously was prevailed and was right in the end. And of course, I love a sci-fi. I feel like I've really gotten into sci-fi lately. Again, this is my whole escape and world building that I really love. I think my top sci-fi show of 2023 was Foundation on Apple TV. The second season came out this year and again, got better with the second season. The first season had a really strong story about the end of the world and this mathematical equation that this one man figured out that could predict the fall of this basically tyrannical regime, and follows them as they create this new foundation on this new planet. I don't want to give too much away, but if you're into sci-fi, I would recommend. I really enjoyed it. Good Omens, a little less sci-fi, a little more drama, which you've not watched, that also is really good. And now for some YouTube. One of my favorite YouTube channels to watch is Tested. It is from one of the Mythbusters creators, Adam Savage. But if you didn't know, he actually was originally a prop maker and worked on the Star Wars prequels. So he worked at Industrial Light and Magic, which is the prop house that created all the props for Star Wars and all these other George Lucas films. So he's a super talented designer and crafter, builder, maker, and how he calls himself a science communicator. Of course, being a co-creator of Mythbusters for how many years? He's an amazing storyteller. So really can take anything he's doing and find the thing that's interesting and make a story out of it. A lot of the videos I really love from him are videos they call one day builds, where he'll take something and take a day and build it. You'll see the process from beginning to end. He'll build a replica of the crown jewels from the British royal family. He does a lot of prop replicas and then talks about his time in filmmaking, in commercials, in Mythbusters, working with George Lucas at ILM. All very fascinating. Another YouTube channel that I've been really obsessed with lately is Cracking the Cryptic. There's two men that run it. They're both grandmasters at solving Sudoku. Okay. The whole video is them just solving Sudoku. But the way they do it, of course, I do watch this to fall asleep, but it is so fascinating. These are advanced Sudoku. They're not just like, oh, here's a 1, here's a 2, which they do that too, but they're like extended technique Sudokus, which I will link the one that I found them through down below, which is still like, I think, an amazing video. But the way that he is so excited about the Sudoku is just so infectious. Same with the tested guy, the Adam Savage. He's just so interested in what he's doing that it's like, oh no, I need to watch this. Like I want to understand what you're doing. The Sudoku, he's just like, no, there's no way this is gonna work. Like it's a Sudoku. I think it has like 2 numbers on the board. There's like, normally you have like a bunch of given numbers and you can do Sudoku, but this has 2 given numbers. And the whole video is like, no, this is a joke. There's no way, you can't do it. And he's like, but wait, let me just try this thing. And he gets so excited. He's like, this is beautiful. This is the best. Like, he's just so excited about it that like, it's so entertaining to watch. And because he explains it as he's going. It's not just him doing it and you're sitting there doing nothing. He explains the step-by-step, the logic that it takes to figure out these puzzles, that you actually understand it and you can follow along. And it's so interesting the way his mind works, just because he's done a million Sudokus and is a world champion Sudoku solver, literally, that he can see these patterns, these numbers and what they mean and how they fit together. I love watching it. So anyway, that is my YouTube recommendations. What else? I don't know. I got these glasses in January of this year. Love my glasses. I wear them every day. I do love them. Oh, and did I mention I'm moving to New York? I feel like I've been saying I was going to do this for a while now. I had originally this summer, I went down and found a place that they were like, yeah, you're first in line. Like, you're going to get it. And I like applied and I was like, everything was good. And then I was like, okay, it's been a few days. Like, let me see what's happening. Called back and they're like, oh, yeah, we gave that apartment to somebody else. Like, you literally said what happened? And they're like, oh, it's just a mix up. And I'm like, okay, like, what's happening here? So didn't get that apartment, even though I was like, yep, I was like convinced like that was going to happen. And like, I was like, oh, look, why is everyone saying it was so hard to find an apartment in New York? Like, I literally just found one. Not easy. So I went back down last month and I can now confidently say I have found an apartment. I have signed the lease. I paid the monies. I guess I have not physically got the key yet. So there's still a chance it might not work out, but I'm not going to speak that into existence. I am moving to Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn into my 1-bedroom brownstone apartment by myself to be a full-time nail creator. I still can't get over that. And I'm moving on January 1st in like 4 days. 3 days when you're listening to this. And have still not packed. Anyway, so that will be my 2024. Very exciting. A whole new chapter. I was like, 2024? A whole new me. So I guess I'm going to take a small break from the podcast, probably just 2 weeks, just to move down there, get my new podcast background and studio set up. But of course, I'll still be posting daily on my Instagram and everywhere else. But I just wanted to let you know about these new exciting things. Hopefully I can get into I do love being creative. So maybe I'll do some DIYs or apartment tour. Let me know if you'd like to see. Get some daily vlogs of being a nail creator in Brooklyn. Let me know. I am looking forward to continuing the podcast in 2024, growing my Instagram, growing my YouTube, which just got monetized on YouTube. I think literally on Christmas Eve. So it was my Christmas present to be monetized on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. Posting some fun reels on there. But I also have been posting some older reels that probably you forgot by now. So some really fun content that hasn't seen the light of day for probably over a year. That's still good, that's still interesting, that's still fun, that no one's seen. So I get to post that on YouTube as well and make a little bit of money with that YouTube monetization. So looking forward to that. And yeah, I just am excited to feel good and to explore and to continue to feel grateful for all the things that I have and been able to do. Right. I don't want to forget how lucky I am to be able to do this full time and literally move to New York City being a full-time nail creator. Like, I just am so grateful. So let me know if I should add things to my favorite things for 2024. But with that, I will see you in 2024.